Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Oji.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning?
And thank you for yesterday.
Well, thank you too. I don't know what that's about, but good morning.
Whenever we see you return, you know there's something in it for us. Thank you so much.
But as always, good morning. Rufy on fire.
This is your Melania Trump hairstyle.
Oh, really? Is it? Melania was the talk of the movement for fashion trends yesterday.
Has anyone told you that both of you bear resemblance?
What is? I think it's the fashion.
I think also your cheekbones.
Oh, really? You know she's Russian though, and she's
with
very
with a wide-rimmed
yes,
American-style hat.
But that American-style hat really caused a problem. I'll talk about it in a little bit.
The husband could not kiss her.
Yes, you saw that video. I'll play it.
Deliberate.
It was an
So that was the question. That was the question. Before we go to America, let's start in the United Kingdom though. But that they said it was deliberate. We don't know. But we'll see. Well, all right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending. In the United Kingdom, where a Nigerian man has responded to the country's conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch's allegations that some officers of the Nigerian police force stole her brother's watch and shoes. Badenoch made the allegations during an interview with a free press. Well, in response, the Nigerian man, James Akinwande, posted a video where he was seen buying a new pair of shoes and a watch to replace the ones allegedly stolen from Badenoch's brother. Let's take a look at the video before we come back for a discussion.
My experience with the police in Nigeria was very negative, and coming to the UK, my first experience with the police was very positive. You know, the police in Nigeria would rob us. So when people say, "Oh, I had this bad experience with the police because I'm black and they're white," I was like, "Well, you know, I remember the police stole my brother's shoes and his watch.
His shoes?
Yeah, they took his shoes and his watch. It's a very poor country, so you know, people do all sorts of things."
Yeah, this is the shoes. Thank you so much. All right, so what's your name?
On behalf of, I wanted to read that last clip that he wrote. On behalf of all aggrieved Nigerians, he has now finally returned the shoes, and he hopes that it fits. Rufai.
Yes, Kemi.
Yes.
Yeah,
there it is. He says, on behalf of every proud Nigerian who felt genuinely hurt by those unfounded, disparaging remarks about the Nigerian police, we buy back the stolen shoes and watch.
Yes.
I hope it fits.
No, that's good. Kemi,
yes.
We've returned it now,
yes,
so you can't say anything again. But I know this was just very cheeky.
It was so cheeky.
It was so cheeky. But I think the most important thing is, see, a lot of people, and I think there's a sense of Nigerians have been hurt a lot. They are very anti-establishment now, and they get very touchy. So when you condemn the government and you put nuance and perspective to it, they say, oh, you shouldn't. The thing with Kemi, we are not saying that what Kemi is talking about is not happening. A lot of people, you see, trying to make a nuanced analysis in Nigeria is very difficult because people only hear one thing. How did I know? Go to a newspaper shop. You see, people just pick the headline. There used to be some people in Ibadan then, Baba Kasagba, and they run with that headline. What we are saying is, Kemi here in this regard is playing a game. Because there's no nation in the world that does not have those things. The UK too has theirs. They have their problems with the Metropolitan Police that will see people, institutional, crisis where a police officer was raping a woman. But she now deliberately focusing on that game, denigrating Nigeria deliberately to be able to make Britain look at the moral beacon of That's what I have a problem with. Right. And that's why when you see that she was asked a question on the Metropolitan Police, she was not even asked about Nigerian police before she answered and said, so it's the game. So, but now, in the cheeky mood of comedy, we have returned the shoes and everything. I'm sure Kemi is not probably going to take the shoe.
No, I mean,
it's just cheeky.
It was the ball, one second, quickly on the second.
It's a big statement. Yes. It won't take away the experience she had because you can buy the shoes or replace the shoes. Yes. But what her brother felt in the hands of the Nigerian police cannot be eroded. But absolutely, exactly what you said, Rufai. I think it's just the fact that the intention, the motive is not because she loves Nigeria. It's trying to... People keep saying, oh, she's telling Nigerian leaders what's the problem. No, she's not. She doesn't care about that. Yeah. She's pursuing her personal political, goals.
Yeah, I thought it was quite cheeky. I laughed so much. Yeah.
One. What Mr. James Akinwande is pushing across is that, look, Nigerians considered Mrs. Badenoch bad enough. So he said, look, you've been bad enough. So your cry is about shoe and wristwatch. Take it back to your brother.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know whether, the brother will still be able to make use of those things. That's number one. Number two is the talent of Nigerians for comedy. We try to make a joke out of everything. Even if there is a tanker, falling off and people dying, you go and check social media, Nigerians will create some funny video out of it. Our optimism, the capacity to look at the funny side of life is unmatchable. And in the case of Akinwande, we're a perfect case of becoming something by maybe osmosis or association. The report says he's a friend of Kenny Black. He's also a friend of AY. AY Makun.
I think he manages Kenny Black.
But he's a legal representative. He's an artist manager. So he's almost also becoming a comedian.
Yeah.
When he's not doing legal matters again, he already has found a new vocation.
Yeah.
And his entry point is Kemi Badenoch.
All right.
Badenoch.
Did you say Badenoch?
Badenoch.
How cheeky. I thought this was such a great way to start the show. Well done, Mr. James. I hope Kemi will accept the shoes. Well, let's head over to the United States now.
I will give her money for a campaign to become British PM. That's the next one we'll do now.
All right.
So that if Nigeria is talking against them, we know that we will donate money for a campaign.
All right.
All
right. Let's do a quick recap in the United States now, where President Donald Trump was sworn in on Monday for a historic second term at an indoor ceremony. Trump addressed the crowd, pledging that his legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier, and promise Americans a new golden age.
Congratulations, Mr. President. The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. Just a few months ago, in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
Really strong statement there. I was saved by God to make America great again. Well, Trump also declared that there will be only 2 genders recognized by the United States government, male and female. Let's take a look.
We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only 2 genders, male and female.
All right. Well, some religious leaders spoke at Trump's inauguration. However, Michigan pastor Reverend Lorenzo Sewell got a standing ovation after delivering a powerful prayer that America will begin to dream again. Let's take a look.
God, we're asking you not only that. Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and every molehill in Mississippi, from every state, every city, every village, and every hamlet. And when we let freedom ring, we will be able to speed up that day where all of your children, black men and white men, Protestant and Catholic, Jew and Gentile, will be able to sing in the meaning of that old Negro spiritual, free at last, last. Thank you, God Almighty. We are free at last. If you believe where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Come on, put your hands together and give your great God great glory.
Free at last. I mean, that was so powerful. I mean, they said, you know, Martin Luther King will be very proud of him. Obviously, he actually, this inauguration day took place on Martin Luther King's Day. But I mean, he wasn't the only pastor that prayed for Trump. I believe that, you know, we had our Nigerian pastor, Kumuyi, who actually prayed, I believe, before
Pastor W.F. Kumuyi.
Yes,
of the Deeper Life Church.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, hours after being sworn in on Monday, Trump signed several executive actions of his second presidential term and repealed dozens of former President Joe Biden's actions. Trump signed the executive orders at the Oval Office, withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Climate Accords and the WHO, and sought to keep TikTok open in the U.S. for another 75 days. Trump also pardoned roughly 1,500 people for their roles in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. I believe that was about the most controversial of his, executive orders, because obviously it's been talked about. I mean, he signed several. He also signed, an order on best right citizenship and began a crackdown on immigration. Elon Musk generated controversy hours after Trump's inauguration with a gesture made during his speech that drew immediate comparison to fascist salute. Let's take a look.
You know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, important. Some are not. But this one, this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you.
Right, you were saying that was a Nazi salute. Heil Hitler. I mean, it definitely looked like that. But, he did put his hand on his chest saying that, his heart goes out to, the people and thanking them, really. But you could see that he actually edited that gesture from his post that he posted on his Twitter account.
Yes.
If you see, that wasn't there because obviously it was quite controversial.
I've seen side by side the symbol of him doing that and Hitler actually doing it, and it is identical.
That's the Nazi salute.
And so that's sending a strong message.
You see, my fear with all of this shenanigan, with all of this Trump shenanigan and this evangelical paraquoism that is being done now with Trump, is it will bring up a wave of right-wing nationalism, just like the days of Hitler. That was how it started, with the likes of Benito Mussolini, with a newspaper called El Popolano, and the likes of Adolf Hitler with his spin man, Goebbels, just like what Donald Trump is all about, and his spin man, Elon Musk. And these people were bringing a new order in the world that if care is not taken, the order of freedom of liberty will be jeopardized. Look at the pastor that was saying free at last, free at last.
Free at last.
Trump is 100% against everything Martin Luther King saw in his dream. Is it a man that brings about division? With QAnon, with the Proud Boys? Is it a man that brings about insurrection because he didn't win an election? So you can regale with all the great words of Martin Luther King, but this man doesn't believe in it.
Well, all right.
Martin Luther King talked about inclusion. People in society, bringing them together. Look at the slew of executive orders. Oji, I was at the Carter Center in Atlanta. And this Panama thing is really dear to me because if you go through the curated Carter Center proposition, you will see the work President Carter did on Panama Canal to be able to bring about peace when that matter came to a head in the 60s and 70s. And now you want to reverse that?
All right.
So all of this thing you have done, you've brought about division to the world.
All right.
This is totally against Martin Luther King. So that's my fear.
That's your fear on the whole...
thing and all of this Trump milieu of some sort.
He's president now. Well, President Trump has a new page on X. Elon Musk took to the microblogging platform to share Trump's updated profile, which reads 45th and 47th President of the United States. The golden age of America begins right now with a caption, the return of the king. I mean, that actual tweet got so many views and, retweets. And I mean, I believe the last I checked when I saw the account, he had almost maybe about 1 million followers, or more. Well, Trump posted a video on his new X account with the caption, "America is back." Let's take a look. All right, let me read the tweet that accompanied this video. Trump wrote, "Every single day, I will be fighting for you. With every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America." Well, during his inauguration, I just wanted to wrap yesterday's celebration with this actual story. During the inauguration, 41-year-old Carrie Underwood's performance during the inauguration ceremony has been praised online after she was forced to sing without her musical instruments due to a technical glitch. She performed a cappella, delivering an outstanding rendition of America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
I mean, that was a brilliant. I thought that Martin was clapping all through. Your thoughts on the whole of yesterday's inauguration
That is
ceremony?
the definition of a disappointment disguised or a blessing disguised as a disappointment, because Carrie Underwood then became a topic of conversation because of the way that she handled herself despite the technical glitch that happened yesterday. When they called for America the Great, people were waiting like, what's going on? And afterward, they were like, just sing. And then she went ahead and she did it so well. But that
she
was
actually
one of the
offered. She said she was good. She was going to sing.
She was talking to someone there. So it was great to see that happen, but it also shows that even the first, even the great America
technical glitch, they happen there.
So let us be a bit kinder when things like that happen back home. That it's not just a Nigerian problem. It can happen. Trump said that they did at the last election.
That's what he said.
Trump said that they did.
That's a lie. They don't have
let me just say, I'm just saying that so we can be kinder to ourselves.
Fox News was sued because of that, and they had to settle out close to $1 billion.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that people still make accusations like that, and it happens in countries like the United States of America. But that was a highlight. But let me just talk about the graciousness, because behind her were the 46th president and his vice, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And they were also part of the topic of conversation yesterday. We've talked about the executive orders, but even their courage and the way that they had to endure Trump's inaugural speech, where he eroded a number of their legacy policies and also spoke against some of the way and the manner in which he ruled. And the fact that they were able to do that graciously. Recall that during his own inauguration, Trump refused to attend. In fact, when you talk about preserving the democracy in America, talking about how when you lose elections, you concede graciously. When Trump came on the steps of the White House and was receiving him, what he said to him was, "Welcome home." And in fact, when he was asked one word to describe how he felt on the day, he used the word joy. So I can imagine that there was a lot of disappointment for the Democrats, but they were still able to handle it well. I think that's a lesson that the Republicans and President Trump himself can take, how to be gracious in defeat, even when things don't go your way. But let me talk about Lorenzo Sewell very quickly, the Reverend, who for me was perhaps one of the, if I wanted to grade 100%.
Well, he was the highlight.
There's a story behind that.
Yes.
So during his campaign, Trump had visited his church 180 in Detroit, and Trump promised him when he was campaigning that because of the way he prayed for him spontaneously, that he had gone to many churches and many churches were not able to pray for him like that if he won, he would be at the inauguration. So he said he was even surprised to receive an invitation. So
fantastic.
It's a promise kept for him, and then he delivered,
yes,
over-delivered. Now you can argue about the spirit of Martin Luther King Day because you can disagree with that, and I absolutely can see that point, but he was able to draw out references, and I think he really added color. He got a hug and a shake from the president for that. In Melania Trump, Usher Vance, you were going to talk about that, Melania Trump.
Can we just pull up quickly on Melania Trump and her fashion sense?
A lot of people spoke about that.
Yeah, and her over hat the years, and all of that. Did you see that one visual where
he tried to get
he was about to, he couldn't. They said that the hat was strategically placed because she didn't want to have the eye contact. But let's talk. I mean, look at her dress.
These are the softer sides of the inauguration. Yes,
everything about her is just.
But part of the color because
in terms of fashion.
Yeah, because the first lady is symbolic for a number of things and also represents the way that the president would rule. So great one out there. To be honest, even though people have said their tension between her and Trump, they seem to put out a good outing yesterday. Right. But for me, the star was Usher Vance. Okay. J.D. Vance's wife. She showed out well, intelligent 39-year-old woman. Yes. In fact, Trump said during his speech at the Emancipation that she was smarter than J.D. Vance. But succession didn't allow him pick out as his VP. He speaks a lot. Yeah. But finally, I'll end on this note, which is with regards to some of the executive orders he signed, particularly those that would affect Nigeria or other parts of the world. It's important to note that, yes, whilst the Constitution empowers the president with executive orders, there are limitations. He can be challenged in court, and also where it involves the Constitution, he would need a constitutional amendment for some of them, including the birthright citizenship. That has come with a lot of conversations. He would need at least 1/3 of the House, 2/3, of the House, and 3/4 of states across America to ratify a constitutional amendment. So it's not Uhuru. He can have his day, be a hero for today, but it's still a long process to actualizing some some of the executive orders.
Well done. I can see that you digested this inauguration ceremony. I was up till 4 a.m. watching.
Executive orders are not laws.
Yes.
They are what you call administrative fiats. In other words, they are strictly limited. And that is why they can be challenged in court. The TikTok, executive order, for example, can be challenged in court, as is also the case with the citizenship by birth, which is an old 150-year-old constitutional right that has existed in the United States. The irony is that you find immigrants, mostly complaining about other immigrants coming to America, to give birth. So all of that will bring up a lot of controversy.
Of course.
But Trump has been very consistent in all the things that he did yesterday. He talks about America first. He wants to make America great again. His speech is largely about American exceptionalism, where I don't agree with the part where he said, horrible legacy, and that he will clean up the place, where I don't think that, President Biden is leaving a horrible legacy and all of that. And then Elon Musk saying that, we go to Mars and all that. Mars, the fourth planet closest to the sun.
Yes.
It's also known as the red planet. Now, what's his name? President Trump said more or less the same thing. He said they will plant the stars and the stripes in Mars. Again, that's consistent with American, exceptionalism. Now, the thing about the pastor of the 180 Church from West Detroit, that was a very interesting moment.
Yes.
There were 3 persons that were called upon to give the benedictions. First, a priest who was very quiet. Then the Catholic man who came after him. When it was the turn of our brother, You know our brothers.
You don't want it to milk it.
The spirit of Pentecostalism took over, and he had to call on the host of heavens. So I was a bit confused whether that was a prayer or that was a performance.
All joy.
But he gave us an appropriate reminder of the essence of Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah. Right.
You know, Trump himself, we seem to have agreed with him because he ended up by saying free at last.
Yes.
Free from what?
Absolutely.
From the horrible legacy
Right.
that Trump was talking about. Now, as for Carrie Underwood, well, I mean, that for me was also a special moment because everybody was confused. I saw President Bush, looking towards President Obama as if even with the best of technology,
Absolutely.
glitches can occur. That's one lesson. The second is about performance. Carrie Underwood was there in her capacity as a performer. And one of the things that we teach in theater classes is what is called improvisation. And the true artist that she is, students of performance, we immediately recognize that she immediately improvised.
Yes.
And she delivered in a manner that you will not even think anything went wrong. The principle in theater is that the show must go on. And
absolutely.
at the end of the day, the show went on. Finally, as for Melania Trump, now I sat through the inauguration with my wife, who said she was looking forward to Melania Trump.
What she's gonna
and the argument was that Melania Trump is the best dressed first lady in American history.
I agree with her.
No, I disagree.
No, I agree with
No,
her.
I said it's Jackie Kennedy.
Well,
But
she too was gracious.
No, not Jackie Kennedy, that she preferred Melania Trump.
She's a true fashion model.
And then this Melania Trump, appeared in this American designer attire that was, on point to the very last detail with this wide brimmed hat.
Yes.
I thought that we'll see a lot more from Melania Trump, who may well end up on her second coming as a true fashion icon.
Absolutely.
The lady from Srebrenica,
Slovenia.
From Slovenia. So again, her father was there, and this bridge across nations. Except that our husband, Donald Trump, is not essentially a bridge builder. He's going to
divide the world.
Well, let's see. This is what he's promised. He's promised a new golden age for America and to make America great again. Congratulations to the 47th president of the United States of America, Donald Trump. Well, here in Nigeria, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, in a post on X, urged President Trump and his administration to identify U.S. stolen assets traced to Nigerian public officials and ensure the return of such assets to the Nigerian people. The group also encouraged Trump to ban such officials from the United States. You see, SERAP is always doing the Lord's work. I don't know how far that will go, but in the same vein, senior advocate of Nigeria, Michael Zuckerman, who is counsel to a former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Deizani Alison Madueke, has said that his client did not acquire the recently repatriated $52.88 million said to be Galactica assets. On January 10th, the Nigerian and United States governments signed an asset return agreement on the $52.88 million recovered from the Galactica assets, purportedly linked to Alison Madueke. OjyOkpe said Alison Madueke's name was attached to the assets to sell the storyline and tarnish the image of the former minister using a bouquet of consistent, persistent, and unrelenting cocktail of falsehoods and misinformation, adding that the said Galactica yacht was acquired by Kola Aluko, a Nigerian businessman who he said had been in the oil and gas business before Alison Madueke became minister. I mean, we're seeing Michael Zuckerman here, defending his client. And we see these sort of stories, and there's always the trial by media, as always. But, it's good that Michael Zokome has detailed what he believes his client, is guilty of or not guilty of. Rufai, quickly.
Okay, so let me take the first story on. I mean, Michael Zokome definitely will, defend his client. All we just know there was a repatriation of some money that was said to be of corrupt money, from Nigeria. So he's making clarity.
He's clearing the air on that.
This has to do with Kola Aluko and everything. But the argument is also that Kola Aluko and Alice Madueke, we're both associates one way or the other.
Well, one of his arguments, can I just make that argument quickly? He said something about, the NNPC or Alice Madueke. Yeah, and she wasn't the, NNPC GMD, and the yacht was not associated with her. And it was clarified in his submission. It was clarified,
right? But the argument other people are also making, to a large extent, is that there have been associations. Kola Aluko also has been dealing with his cases, differently and all of that. But for me, yes, good one by Sarah. But also, let me stretch it one step further. That's the delusion a lot of Nigerians think. And sorry, no offense to Sarah. You think America, with their own interest, will give up assets of Nigerians when they have interest in those assets. It's a high level of delusion. And I'll give you an instance. Khashoggi was working for an American press newspaper. When he was killed, Americans made a lot of noise about it against Saudi. We thought they were going to take the Saudis on. Once they had a deal, Khashoggi's matter was relegated. Till today, we never saw the end of Khashoggi's matter with everything there. So what I'm just going to tell you is, if America has one of your politicians as their assets, and you think they will give up dossier and information about him, you lie to yourself.
Well, they did with this one now,
so
with the 52.88 million.
Because this, was a repatriation that they had worked on before now. Okay. But if you think that they have one of your politicians as an asset, I repeat that word, as an asset, and you think they will give him up, deceive yourself.
Fine.
All right, let me just say that every country puts their country's interests
first. Okay.
Trump has said, make America great again. He said he's going to establish an external revenue service. So he's looking for ways to enrich the pockets of Americans more than. So Serap has done well in terms of asking, because every country too would come forward with what their request is now that we have a new president. But the truth is that every country, and Nigeria should take a leaf from that. We need to start thinking of how to make ourselves. Let's stop depending on the Western nation to repatriate funds if we ourselves are not serious about prosecuting people or politicians who have benefited fraudulently from the government. It is our responsibility. They can help us. But at the end of the day, we are the ones that should lead on this at the end of the day.
Okay, very quick points. Look, what exists in the international order is that there are rules against what is called illicit financial flows, IFFs, as they call it. In other words, countries of the world under the auspices of the World Bank, the OECD, they have this part that if money is stolen and taken to your country, you have an obligation to return it. And it's on the basis of that you have had, some countries returning assets back to Nigeria. The latest being the asset recovery agreement between Nigeria and the US. Secondly, Serap saying they will petition the US, they are just trying to invoke those principles under international law. What's his name? Michael Zokome. The article he wrote is titled, "There is no such thing as Deizani loot." And that is the rest of things that he tried to summarize under that rubric.
All right, well said, you all. Well said, thank you. Before we end what's trending today, let's celebrate Nigeria's women's under-19 cricket team, the junior female Yellow Greens of Nigeria, for securing the 2-run victory over New Zealand at the 2025 ICC Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup in Malaysia, marking Nigeria's first outing in this global tournament. In our Good News report. Nigeria on top. We took their story yesterday and
extra special because New Zealand is the defending champion.
Correct.
So it's extra. It was an upset. It was brilliant to see them. Our first outing and to see us, shine.
It was brilliant. I did ask them to make us proud, and they have made us proud. Really. I'd like to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.